Daily Mentoring Moments with Barbara, where one thought can change your life.
Good morning, this is Daily Mentoring Moments with Barbara, and I want to talk to you today about managing expectations. You know, for over 30 years, I worked as a trial attorney, and I had clients, and I dealt with judges, and I dealt with other attorneys. And one of the things that I learned that I had to do over that course of time is to manage expectations. And one, to manage the expectations of my client, which was the person that I was the closest to in terms of work relationship. It is so important that we manage expectations because we know that the disappointment is, like I said before, it is that space between expectation and reality is disappointment. And so we want to make sure that we manage the front end of it, which is expectation. Sometimes we have teams and people that we're working with. We're in organizations, our family members, our children have certain expectations. And rightfully so. People in relationships have certain expectations, whether you're working on a project or whether you're doing something personally, people have expectations. The question is, how are you managing expectations? So I want to give you 3 ways to manage expectations today, because I guarantee you, if you manage expectations well, it will make your communication easier, it'll make your life easier, and there won't be as much confusion when expectations are managed. So number 1, you want to make sure you make no assumptions. Do not make assumptions when you are working with people. Don't assume they know how. Don't assume that they don't need any assistance. Don't assume any of that. So a lot of times I've heard people say, well, I assumed if the person needed help, they would ask for it. Make sure that you are communicating with your people that if you need assistance, please come to me and let me know. That's just one example of managing an expectation in terms of making sure that you're not making assumptions. Number 2, when you're managing expectations, you want to make sure that you have clearly communicated. Make sure that you have communicated. And that means that you have to know what you're looking for. You have to know what your expectations are in order to help manage someone else's expectations. Don't assume, again, in this process that you are on the same page as someone else. So for example, I may know that a case is worth $100,000. My client may think the case is worth $1 million. And so as they're coming in, I have to manage that from the front end. And 1 is not to make any assumptions. And 2 is to make sure that I communicate. Number 3 is to make sure that you connect. Connect meaning making sure that as you communicate it, that the other person has heard and understands what you have said. A lot of times I talk to people and they said, well, I told that person so-and-so and so-and-so. Exactly. You told them. You did not make sure that there was a connection. And so sometimes you can tell people things and they don't respond, and your assumption is that they are in agreement. Your assumption is that they understand, because of course you didn't ask that last question. Are there any questions? Are we on the same page? Do you understand what I meant? Make sure that if you're going to manage expectations, and everybody needs to do it, manage expectations by not assuming, make sure you communicate, and make sure you connect. This is Barbara Littles with Daily Mentoring Moments.